to the final episode of Season 1 of the Bible Project podcast. Now I say final and I say Season 1 because the Bible Project is going to continue. The level of uptake and engagement with the Bible Project podcast has been far higher than I could ever imagine or hope for. I'm so grateful to you all and so grateful to God that the project has been such a success. I do trust and pray that some of you have really benefited from having the rhythm of the Bible as part of your daily lives. Thanks to all of you who've been on the journey these last 2.5 months with these short daily podcasts, which started on day 1 with initially 13 downloads of episode 1 to the point where we will soon be passing 5,000 downloads for the most recent episode. Please stay on to the end of this podcast where I'll be telling you about some links to a short 1-minute survey that you can complete for us, where you can choose one of 4 possible options for possible subject matters in the future. In the episode notes of this podcast you can find a link to where you can do that survey, alongside other links to things like the podcast Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and our sister weekly podcast, the Living in Faith Every Day, the Life podcast. I think it would be amiss of me not to mention the fact that the initial funding for the starting of this podcast and paying for the first year came through a Kickstarter project. So thank you to all the backers who enabled this project to come to fruition. I shan't be coming back to you and asking for more money, but those who backed the project at the beginning, I'd just like to say a special thanks to people at the Creative Fund, to Robert Holloway, also to John Van Mulligan and Sergei Kohirshan, Bobby Pachin, Thomas Unit, Colin Evans, Martin MPW, Sasha Kaspbaum, Zachary Eck and Bev Transferred. Without those people's initial support, the podcast would not have been launched, and it's great that now we've reached the end of this series. It's going to continue in a couple of weeks into Season 2, the subject of which I'm hoping the community will decide. So thanks again everyone, and I'd just like to finish, as I said at the opening, by asking if you could give me some feedback please on what the next step should be, on what the future teaching of the Bible Project should be. Now there's a link through to a survey done online, and the best way would be, it's one of these by the company called SurveyMonkey. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's just one question, so it'll only take 1 minute to complete, and it says, what do you believe should be the next teaching subject for the Bible Project podcast? And there are 4 options, and these are they. So, should we next begin to work through the entire Bible, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, Genesis to Revelation, for as many years as that might take? Second option is work through the entire life of Jesus in a chronological journey through and across all 4 gospel accounts. Or should Series 2 be a series looking at the formation of the Bible in its historical and chronological order? One of the things that surprised me is the couple of podcasts I took out to do the history of the church and how the Bible was put together between the Old and the New Testament were amongst the most highly downloaded episodes in the series so far. And then the 4th option is a series looking at the history of the Christian church from its foundation in Acts to modern times by considering all the great movements and heroes of the faith. So one of those 4 subject matters, I believe I've been led by God, some quite recently, some over the years through previous work and study I've done, but one of those should form the basis of the next step in the evolution of the Bible Project. Now I'll put the text of those in the posts on social media, etc., and if necessary you can just reply to them by replying to the post on Facebook with the one you'd select, and I'll add those to the survey figures. But the best way to do it would be to click through to the survey through the Facebook pages, through either my personal or the Bible Project Facebook page, or through the link on the episode notes on the podcast itself. I'll even see if I can put a link on my own personal YouTube channel, although I believe only half a dozen or so people connect to the podcast through that medium. Anyway, it'd be really important, and the plan would be to kick off the new season 2 or the new complete direction for the podcast in a couple of weeks. And the plan would be to maybe post 5 short episodes a week, and for now continuing to compile those into a compilation episode and post that on the weekly sister podcast, the original podcast, which is called the Living in Faith Everyday Podcast, a life podcast. So again, thank you all so very much for coming on this journey with me these last 2.5 months, and please complete the Bible Project survey so that God by His Holy Spirit may confirm to me which direction as a community we feel the podcast should take. So it's bye for now, and I'll speak to you all very soon.